Get your gloves ready because it's time to review the dossier of the best in MMA. In this, Top 10 Best UFC Fights. Number 10. Lesnar vs. Carwin. Didn't expect to start off so rough. This top takes us straight to UFC 116 in July 2010. Here, Brock Lesnar and Shane Carwin had to determine who was the absolute king of heavyweights. For his part, Lesnar had dethroned Randy Couture, crowning himself champion of the division. However, sometime later, Carwin won the interim title by defeating Frank Mir. But there was only room for one king. The fight started with a barrage of punches from Carwin, until Brock Lesnar tried to take him down but missed. All he managed to do was get a knee strike and an uppercut that sent him to the canvas, where Carwin landed so many punches that he barely survived the first round. In the second round, after almost a minute, Lesnar managed to take Carwin down and gave him a mighty arm triangle choke, winning by submission at minute 2:19, thus becoming the undisputed heavyweight champion. Number 9. Blachowicz vs. Adesanya. March 2021, UFC 259. Middleweight champion Israel Adesanya had swept his division. Marvin Vettori, Robert Whittaker, Kevin Gastelum, Paulo Costa, and even the legend Anderson Silva failed to stand up to him. So Adesanya decided that he'd become a double champion, for which he challenged Jan Blachowicz, who had recently become light heavyweight champion. For most of the fight, the 185-pound champion overwhelmed Blachowicz with his great kickboxing skills. However, in the fourth round, the light heavyweight champion changed strategy and knocked Adesanya down, putting his 205 pounds on top of him. The middleweight monarch couldn't get up and was knocked down again in round 5, taking even more hits on the floor. The judges awarded the victory to Blachowicz, who retained his championship title and marked Adesanya's first UFC loss. Number 8. Usman vs. Masvidal 2. This top wouldn't be complete without Kamaru Usman, the best pound-for-pound and welterweight champion of the UFC. The story of this rivalry began in July 2020, when Usman defeated Jorge Masvidal on points, keeping his belt. However, Masvidal had entered that fight as a replacement for Gilbert Burns, who tested positive for COVID-19, so he argued that his loss was due to not having enough time to prepare. The rematch took place in April 2021 at UFC 261, for which Masvidal took it upon himself to heat up the atmosphere with many comments about Usman.
I'm going to expose the coward that he is, and I say that with all honesty.
When the fight started, the first round looked fairly even with plenty of punches and kicks from both fighters, until Usman managed to knock him down and gained an advantage. This didn't discourage Masvidal, who during the second round began to taunt Usman. However, it would all end at minute 102 of that round, when Usman knocked Masvidal out with an impressive right hook, giving the crowd one of the best knockouts in history. Number 7. Khabib vs. McGregor. Everything about this fight was complete madness. Undefeated lightweight champion Khabib Nurmagomedov would defend his title against former champion Conor McGregor. And as expected, McGregor wanted to turn this into a spectacle, so he took every opportunity to insult Khabib's religion, country, and family. This led to Nurmagomedov having altercations with McGregor's team, reaching its peak when McGregor himself attacked a bus where Khabib was. October 2018, UFC 229. The first round was dominated by Khabib, and in the second, the champion even threw a massive punch that almost knocked McGregor out. The third round will go down as the only round Nurmagomedov has lost in his entire career, where McGregor unleashed the best he had. However, Khabib's fighting superiority was evident, and he submitted McGregor in the fourth round with a neck crank. But it didn't end there. After the fight, Nurmagomedov, tired of the gossiping from McGregor's team, jumped out of the cage and attacked them. Khabib's team did the same to McGregor, a night the fans will never forget. Number 6. Chimaev vs. Burns. With only 4 UFC fights under his belt, Khamzat Chimaev had become a sensation for finishing off his opponents almost immediately. But his moment of truth would come in April 2022, during UFC 273, where Chimaev would face the number 2 welterweight, Gilbert Burns. This fight was a war. The first round started with Chimaev doing his usual, trying to take his opponent down. However, Burns stopped Chimaev's onslaught and forced him to fight standing. During the exchange, a jab from Chimaev sent Burns to the canvas, but he managed to recover. The second round was dominated by Burns, who sent Chimaev to the canvas twice, although he didn't finish him. And the third round was quite even, so the decision was up to the judges, who gave Chimaev the victory, having landed more punches in the last round. Number 5. Rodríguez versus Holloway. This fight was a delight for fans of striking. At UFC 197 in November 2021, rising star Yair Rodríguez faced former featherweight champion Max Holloway. The media speculated that this would be a piece of cake for Holloway, but that couldn't be further from the truth. The first round was fairly even, with Holloway showing off his superior boxing and Rodríguez flaunting his taekwondo kicks. However, Holloway dominated the second and third rounds, leaving fans to believe the fight was over. Even Rodríguez's face and feet looked battle-scarred. But in rounds 4 and 5, Rodríguez showed that he could still fight on par with the former champion. The judges gave Holloway the victory. However, the level that both fighters demonstrated here was well above everything predicted. What a show! Number 4. Shogun versus Henderson. UFC 139. Two light heavyweight tanks collided in November 2011 in what would be remembered as the UFC's bloodiest fight, Mauricio Shogun Rua versus Dan Henderson. Before we begin, take a close look at the color of both fighters' shorts. Yes, they're white. Round 1. True to his style, Henderson started throwing powerful punches until he landed a knee strike on Rua's face. This is where the blood started flowing. During rounds 2 and 3, Rua would try to take the fight to the ground, but Henderson would resist and continue to dominate with heavy punches. During the fourth round, Rua managed to come back and balance the fight, and the fifth round was completely dominated by Rua, where Henderson survived practically by miracle. The judges granted Henderson the victory for dominating the first 3 rounds. Remember the color of the shorts? Well, they're now red. All that came from the wound under Rua's left eye. Number 3. Jones versus Gustafsson. Jon Jones is, for many, the greatest MMA fighter of all time. No one seemed to be on his level until UFC 165 in September 2013, when Alexander Gustafsson would give him the fight of his life. He went after Jones's light heavyweight title and lasted 5 rounds. Throughout the rounds, the quality of mixed martial arts was of the highest caliber. Gustafsson even landed a knockdown in the first round. As the rounds progressed, everything seemed to indicate that the invincible Jones would finally be dethroned. However, by the 5th round, Gustafsson looked more tired and took more punches than he could throw. In the end, the judges gave Jones the victory, though to this day, many believe Gustafsson should have been declared the winner. For this reason, in December 2018, a rematch took place, where Jones won by TKO in the 3rd round. What a rivalry. Number 2. Lawler versus MacDonald 2. This was an all-out war. July 2015, welterweight champion Robbie Lawler was defending his title against Rory MacDonald at UFC 189. Lawler had previously defeated MacDonald in 2013. This time, MacDonald felt refreshed, and during the first round, the exchange of punches was very intense on both sides. During the second round, Lawler made MacDonald bleed, who wasn't deterred and returned the favor by making him bleed in round 3. The 4th round was pretty even, with a slight advantage for MacDonald. But in the 5th round, a punch from Lawler would send MacDonald to the canvas, ending the fight with a TKO and retaining his championship. Just wow. Bonus: Poirier versus McGregor 1, 2, and 3. We can't talk about the best UFC fights without mentioning this Netflix-worthy trilogy. In 2014, at featherweight, McGregor knocked Poirier out in the first round. At lightweight, in January 2021, Poirier knocked out McGregor in the second round, which led to an immediate rematch in July 2021, where McGregor injured his left leg at the end of the first round, handing Poirier the victory. When's the 4th round due? Fans want more. After everything I've shown you, what could be the best UFC fight? Well, get ready. Number 1. Griffin versus Bonnar. Two fighters, unknown at the time, stepped into the octagon in April 2005 to star in what is now called the fight that saved the UFC from bankruptcy. Sponsors and finances in general were going badly for the company, which decided to gamble everything on a fighter reality show called The Ultimate Fighter, where the winners would receive a contract with the UFC. The result was a battle so epic that it went around the world and made the sport famous. The spirit of these two tireless warriors was so absurdly great that neither would give up, nor stopped attacking during those 3 rounds. In the end, Griffin would get the victory by points and the UFC contract. However, after such a spectacle, the monetary benefits and recognition for the sport, Bonnar was also signed by the UFC. A glorious end for MMA fans and the company that made them grow to where they are today. Had you watched all these fights? Which one do you think should have also been in this top? Let me know in the comments. Also, leave a like and subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. Until the next fight.